If it's not one thing that I learned about America, I read this when I was in high school. Theodore Roosevelt said this. He said, "Speak softly but carry a big stick." Now I'll let your brain do the work on that quote. But this is about the number 13. We all witnessed the Super Bowl yesterday, Super Bowl 58. 5 plus 8 is 13. We all knew with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce being together, the most ironic, random couple ever, out of nowhere, sprung up out of nowhere. Not only factual that Taylor Swift went up in numbers, this was all strategically planned, all the way down to the people that were sacrificed yesterday. There's no occurrences of helicopters crashing all the fucking time, such as Kobe Bryant and these gentlemen, and these people, these beloved people I'm going to speak about here. I took my time to do my research, and and there's lots more. I know y'all seen the video on the clock equaling up to 13 and all these other things, but remember, it started with the 13 colonies. Okay? I even asked you how many disciples were there, and you told me 12, and I said you a lie, it was 13. See, because even if Jesus was the Son, he was doing God's work, which makes him a disciple of God. All those people together, if you seen them from yonder, far walking up, you say 13, you wouldn't count 12 and say plus him. You see what I'm saying? So 5 plus 8 is 13, 8 plus 5 is 13. Super Bowl 58, Kansas City Chiefs versus the San Francisco 49ers. 9 plus 4 is 13. It was written already. Only thing that wasn't written was the Niners winning. They're just part of the plan. The 13 states are the 13 colonies. You understand? You remember the 13th Amendment, section 1 and 2? Because the people that were killed and sacrificed yesterday in this helicopter crash, you may not even heard about. I'm gonna say me. We're black. We're colored folk. But let's read the 13th Amendment, because I want to understand the 13th Amendment is about freeing slaves, right? Or what you think. Section 1, neither slavery nor the involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. You commit a crime, you're a slave to the system now. Section 2, Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. And I wrote in keynotes, legislation gotta go through the executive. It gotta go through the executive, okay? And before an item of legislation becomes even law, it may be known as a bill. It may be broadly known as a bill or referred to as a legislation. Now, how is legislation defining legislation? Very easy. When you don't know, when you're not a part of the game, you do your own research. See, because legislation has its own many meanings, like to regulate, to authorize, to outlaw, to provide like money or funds, to sanction, to grant, to declare, or to restrict. But let's take it a little bit deeper than number 13. See, because in Revelation 13, it says the beast is described as having 10 horns and 7 heads, which adds up to 17. But since 7 is considered the perfect number in the Bible, right? Your Bible, right? The number 17 is reduced to 13, which is representing imperfection and sin. It appears 13 times in Revelations. Remember that clock I told you about? 12 plus 1. Of course 11 plus 2. And why wouldn't 10 plus 3 make 13? The clock say 12 when it really is 13. Imagine how we used to tell time when it was always night and day. Why would there be the orchestration of a clock if you didn't need it to tell time on what the fuck you need to be doing? At what time you need to be there doing it? What is the age that the boy become a man in the Jewish community? 13. The 13 colonies were a group of Great Britain colonizers, explorers, thieves, stealers, rapists, discoverers, etc. I mean, the Pilgrims got a piece of this. And the Pilgrims were being treated like shit back in their own homeland. So when they landed in Massachusetts, nobody was there. The only reason they went there because they aborted the Mayflower. Y'all ain't ready for that. See, because in biblical numerology, the number 13 is often associated with rebellion, sin, and a lack of divine order. That sounds a lot like America. But also number 13 is also represented with new beginnings because it comes right after the number 12. So I asked you in the beginning, who were the 12 disciples? Do you know their names? Because I'm going to name to you 13. We have Peter, James, John, Andrew, Bartholomew, or Nathaniel. Then we have Judas, Jude, or Thaddeus, James, Matthew or Levi, and Philip. And then we have Simon the Zealot, Thomas, then you have Jesus. Jesus was a disciple as well. See, because we all like to get distorted, like we all not put here for our own purposes, but we all have our own purposes here. There were 13, not 12. Why would there be 12 when Jesus, your religion, you're doing God's work? So if you're the son, you're going to do your duties because you're God's son. Yesterday, there was also a sacrificial deal going on where this helicopter crashed Southern California on his way to the NFL game. What y'all doing out here anyway? Y'all supposed to be in Nigeria. One thing I learned about the hands of America is bloody and it's deep, deep, deep. Deep, deep, deep. Waist deep. Chest deep. Above the head. America is drowning in its own wrongdoings. And the only thing I also learned, doing business with America could lead you backstabbed. Okay? See, because the CEO of the largest bank died yesterday with his wife and his son in the helicopter, along with Abimbula Agumbanjo, the president of the National Council, who served the Nigeria Stock Exchange. They died. Why? Did you catch the chilling speech President Biden made after they died? Peace, love, and protection with this message, but before you understand the means, it all goes with 13. I'll write down the 13 families, and you dive in and discover.